What's going on, YouTube? As some of you may know, the new Overwatch patch just went live. It's currently November 15th. I just got off work and I wanted to go over some of the things that will be changing in Season 3 and that are new right now in the new patch. Now, of course, some of you may know the new hero, Sombra. She's a sneaky little flanker, has great annoyance potential. She has a great ability of staying alive. Nobody really knows how good she's going to be yet because a lot of the pro teams haven't had a chance to actually throw her into their skirmishes yet. But from what I've seen, and I've used her a little bit in the PTR, and to be quite honest, I think that she's very underpowered. I think that she has one strength, and that strength is staying alive and causing a bit of a annoyance in the backline. But I don't think that she does enough damage to warrant being selected in the utility row over Mei. I think Mei is much better, or a Genji, maybe another tank. I just don't think she brings enough to the table. But like I said, until the pros try her out, we won't know for sure. Because as some of you may remember, when Ana first got released, everybody thought that she sucked, and Zen stayed in the meta for like a solid month, even though Ana was in the game and fully out and released, and for whatever reason, nobody really knew Ana's potential yet. Fast forward a month, Ana is now a must pick and she's insane. And I think the same thing could happen with Sombra. However, I just don't see it. I mean, she's good at staying alive, but other than that, I just don't think she brings enough to the table. She can easily just get stunned by McCree if she goes near McCree. I don't know what she's going to do to Pharah, Soldier. Genji's just going to run away. Tracer's just going to run away. Her hacking ability can be pretty useful against tanks, but I think that Mei and Genji are still stronger picks. But like I said, until the pros try her out, we won't know the verdict yet. And some of you may know there's a new map called Eco Point Antarctica. This is Blizzard's new arena map for the 3v3 playlist in the arcade. This map is a lot of fun. I love this map, and to be quite honest with you, it reminds me of a Halo map. And I used to play a lot of Halo back in the day, and I must say I love the 3v3 playlist in the arcade now, and I love this map. I love the size of it, I love how it plays, and I love how this map really puts emphasis on holding the high ground. So I love this from Blizzard, and I love the new arcade system. It's awesome, and I really hope that Blizzard keeps exploring into new different ways to play Overwatch, because I enjoy it. It's always good to get a fresh breath. Playing comp and playing the meta team composition, it can get kind of stale sometimes. So the 3v3 and the arcade playlist has really given Overwatch a whole new perspective, for me at least, and I look forward to playing it more in Season 3. Now, so if some of you play comp and you play it a lot and you take the game seriously, Season 2 will be ending November 23rd, and Season 3 will be beginning November 30th. Now, during the off-season, you will be able to play in the competitive playlist. However, you won't be awarded any skill rating, and you won't get any competitive points either. So you can still have fun in comp if you want to take the game really serious. You can try out the new meta, practice up, sharpen your skills. Me, however, during the off-season, I'll probably just be grinding the PTR, just because you will gain skill rating, and it's always fun when there's a little more at stake. In Season 2 ranked, there was a big mistake that Blizzard even came out and admitted. A lot of players were getting placed way too high. They had much more players that got placed in gold and platinum than they originally intended, and it caused a lot of frustration, especially if you were a higher ELO player like myself. You had players on your team who were diamonds, and I was also a diamond. But I finished level 76 last season, and some of these players finished at level 50 something. And then they think that they're your equal in the game in terms of skill, and they argue with you, and it's just not fun when you have players that are less skilled than you are, believing that they're equal to you because they got placed too high than they should have been. I know that it sounds kind of rude or cocky to say that, but it's just the truth. Nobody wants to get placed at a higher skill rating than they're meant to be at, because they're going to get outskilled and outclassed. And nobody in the higher classes who deserves to be there wants to have a teammate holding them down when they should be in Master, but they get stuck in Diamond because players who should have been placed probably in Gold got placed in Diamond and Plat, and it's just not fun, and it ruined everything. So in Season 3, Blizzard came out and said they're going to try and place more players more evenly across the skill spectrum, and I'm really looking forward to this. So the implications of it will be, your Season 2 skill rating, you're most likely going to get placed lower than that in Season 3, and I think this is a great change. It's always fun to grind. I don't mind being placed lower than I was. It's kind of the purpose of a ladder, honestly. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really glad that Blizzard figured out that they placed too many players too high. And also in Season 3, the hero balance will be changed. As some of you may know already, everybody's ultimate in the game is going to be increased by 25% cost, which means it's going to take 25% longer on average for you to get your ultimate. And I think this is a great change because it puts less emphasis on just harassing each other, kind of poking each other, doing poke damage, charging up your ultimates, and then rushing in. Everybody presses Q, and then someone wins the team fight, and then that's how the game is played. I think that this new change is going to put more emphasis on the small, more intrinsic team skirmishes. I think it's going to put more emphasis on players like Roadhog or McCree, who don't necessarily have good ultimates. It's really going to open it up for those players to shine, because with a solid Roadhog hook or a good McCree, you're going to be able to get kills without ultimates. And I think that's where this game needs to go if it's going to be taken more seriously in the eyes of the esports community. Now, to go over some of the specific changes to heroes, Ana will no longer give a movement speed buff to whoever she nano boosts. I think this is a great change because some of you may know Reaper with the nano boost is just disgusting. Honestly, you don't even really need to have your Reaper in a good position. If you could just nano him anywhere on the map, and he can just, especially on maps like Temple of Anubis, he can just run around and just catch up to any hero and just rip them in like 2 or 3 shotgun blasts. So I think this is a great change, and it really gives nano boost potential to players like McCree or even Widow, possibly even Hanzo, Soldier, who can do damage from range, who don't necessarily need their movement speed. I think that's a great change, and I'm looking forward to it because Ana at the moment is kind of ridiculous. D.va, the time it takes for her to go from little D.va and then she calls down her mech, that's being increased by 20%, and I think this is a great change because I don't play a lot of D.va, but when I did play D.va, it takes so long. You're running around with your little pistol on the ground trying to shoot stuff, trying to help, and it just takes so long for that mech to come back. So I think this is a much needed change for D.va, and I hope D.va doesn't end up in the meta because I hate playing against good D.vas. But that's just my biased opinion, but this is a good change. Lucio is getting a nerf. I don't know how I feel about this. His amp it up is being decreased by 10%. Lucio is still really strong because of his speed boost, but I don't think it was a good idea to nerf Lucio. Like, don't get me wrong, he is a must pick, and I guess Blizzard doesn't like that, but I thought Lucio was in a really good spot, because when Lucio used his E to amp it up with the heal, I think he could really swing a team fight if he timed it just perfectly. I don't really understand what the point of that buff or that nerf was, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Mei will be receiving a nerf, and her ultimate cost is going to be decreased by 15%. I couldn't agree with this more. In fact, I would even say it should be decreased by 20%. I don't know if anyone watching this video plays Mei, but if you use your right click and you hit people with the icicles, it just does a disgusting amount of ult charge. Like, if you play against a Roadhog, it feels, I don't know what the exact math is, but it feels like if you hit a Roadhog like 10, 12 times with an icicle, you're already at like 80% ult charge. You throw down your ultimate, and your team's probably going to win that team fight. It was just insane. Mei was so OP in Season 2. It was very frustrating, and she really needed this. So Mercy will be receiving a buff. Her passive self-heal used to take 3 seconds to activate. Now it takes only 1 second to activate after she doesn't take any damage. Mercy really needed this. She fell so far from where she was when the game first released. She's in Season 2, she was borderline unplayable. She's just too easy to pick. Her hitbox is pretty big, I must say, for a support. And you just get into their back line, and she's just way too easy to pick. She really needed this buff, and maybe she'll come back into the meta. I doubt it, though. I mean, Ana, Lucio is just... It's still so strong. I don't think that the supports will necessarily change, although I think Zenyatta could potentially make an appearance back into the meta. With Discord plus Soldier 76, I mean, that could really do some damage. I've seen it in the PTR. Discord on a Roadhog with Soldier 76 just shreds it. Like, seriously, Soldier 76 will kill a Roadhog in like one clip easily with Discord. So I think Zenyatta has potential to get himself back into the meta. Pharah is receiving a buff, and her minimum explosion damage has been increased by 13%. So what that means is if you miss your target as Pharah, but you still hit the ground next to them, it'll do more damage. So you don't necessarily have to get direct hits to maximize Pharah. You're still going to need those direct hits at a high level because it's all about splash damage. And I'm not saying that Pharah is going to be easier to play. She's not, but I think she needed a buff because at a high level she just gets ripped out of the sky. Pharah is also receiving an explosion knockback decrease to 0%. So in Season 2, if Pharah shot a rocket beside you and it hit you, it would kind of knock you out of place. It would kind of move you when it hit, and it made an impact, and it would displace you a bit. In Season 3, that's not going to happen anymore. The rocket will land, it will explode, and it won't even move you at all. I'm not sure what the reason for this is, but I do think it'll make Pharah better because it'll make her targets easier to hit, I believe. And she's also seeing an increase in her jump jets by 35%. I always thought that Pharah's jump jets were really weak, and this new buff for Pharah is going to ensure that she can stay up in the sky forever. She never has to come down if the player uses her jets correctly. She can float up in the sky for the whole game if she likes. And it really just helps her mobility. She can maneuver much better and get around much quicker. Pharah desperately needed this buff. I still don't think she's going to be viable at the highest of levels, just because players' aim is so good at that level that even a good Mei, Zenyatta, Soldier, McCree, even Genji's will just rip a Pharah out of the sky. It's disappointing because I like Pharah, but you know, maybe in the mid-tier levels, Pharah will be a strong pick. And as some of you may know, I am super excited about this one. Soldier 76 is getting a buff, and his damage per bullet is going from 17 damage all the way up to 20 damage. However, his bullet spread is getting increased from 2.2 to 2.4. It's a pretty small difference in spread. I noticed it though. It is a noticeable difference, I will admit. But when I tried out Soldier in the PTR 2 weeks ago, I thought he was absolutely insane. And honestly, I thought that his buff wasn't going to go through the live server. I even told my friends, if Soldier goes through with this buff, he's going to be so broken. He does so much more damage now. It's a noticeable difference. I'm a Soldier 76 main. I am the #1 ranked Soldier 76 in the world on overbuff.com. So I can't tell you how excited I am for this buff. It's huge. Soldier is going to be so strong. He might not take McCree's place, but I think a very adept, very capable Soldier 76 like myself, I could give any McCree a run for their money. I know for a fact. With this buff, It's going to make me a much better player. I played Soldier 76 when he sucked, and I got all the way up to level 76 last season, and I got all the way up to 3600 SR this season with Soldier 76. So I'm very excited about the Soldier 76 buff. So if you want to play some DPS, I would recommend practicing up your Soldier 76. Torbjorn is receiving a buff. He will now passively generate his scrap. However, he will collect less scrap from fallen foes. So over time, when Torbjorn is just sitting there in between team fights, he will be able to make scrap, which I think this is huge, because before the first team fight in Season 2, Torb didn't have any armor to give to anyone until the team fight was over. And if you lost the team fight, then it wouldn't even matter. You wouldn't even get any scrap at all. So this is a much needed buff for Torb. I still don't think he's going to be viable. I mean, maybe on like Numbani and some very niche maps. But this is very much needed for him. His hammer swing speed is also being increased by 25%, which means he can build his turrets faster. And the hammer damage he does when he swings his hammer at an enemy is being reduced by 27%. I don't know if that's useful or not. I never ever meleeed anyone with the hammer in Overwatch before, so I can't say how useful that's going to be. And Widowmaker. She is receiving 2 buffs. Her poison trap now will not damage her at all. And I always thought it was kind of stupid how her trap did damage herself, because she would put the trap down, and then if an enemy came up next to her, the enemy would get her weak and her own trap would get her weak, and then she would just die. So now if she puts the trap right underneath her feet and an enemy walks by to come get her, like a Genji or something, the trap will be triggered, the Genji will take damage, Pharah will take no damage from her own trap, she'll be able to grapple, maybe get an opportunity to hit a shot on the Genji or just spray at the Genji and really have a much better fighting chance. The time it takes for Widowmaker's gun to charge to 100% when scoped in is also being increased by 20%. I think that these Widowmaker changes are huge, and I really think that she is going to find a spot in the new meta. There's a lot of good players out there, and Overwatch is a game of picks, and on certain maps, specifically King's Row, Temple of Anubis sometimes, Widow can be a great pick, and I think she's even stronger now, but it is more of a niche role, but she is definitely viable. Zarya is receiving a much needed nerf. She has been absolutely insane since the game was released. If you ever watch a good Zarya play Zarya, how quickly she is able to generate energy is just, it's disgusting. Her carry potential, because of that reason alone, is just disgusting. She can out DPS almost anything when she's 100 charge, assuming she doesn't get stunned or just like immediately splash down. So it's kind of disappointing because I do like Zarya and I love to play Zarya, but I think the good Zaryas will still be very strong and they'll still be very adept at being able to hold charge and keep charge. So I do agree that this buff was much needed, but it is kind of disappointing because once again, I don't want to see D.va take Zarya's spot. I hate playing against D.va. Good D.vas are just so freaking annoying. She's not fun to play against. That defense matrix is just like, it honestly, it just takes the fun out of the game for me. I hate defense matrix so much. It's just so strong. It can eat any ult. It's just, I hate D.va, and I just really hope that Zarya is able to keep her place. So there we have it. This is my review and my thoughts on Overwatch's new patch. I'm super excited for this new patch. It's just going to breathe such a nice fresh breath of air back into Overwatch for me. I was so sick of Mei and her ridiculously overpowered ultimate. It's going to be fun to see what Sombra is capable of doing once she gets into the hands of the pros. Whether she makes it to the meta or not is still to be decided. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that your perspective on Overwatch is a bit deeper now thanks to this video. So if you like this video, don't be afraid to give it a thumbs up, and if you dislike this video, just give it a thumbs down. And if you have any comments, feedback, opinions on the new patch, please don't hesitate. Leave me something to read in the comments. I would love to read what you guys think about my thoughts on the patch, any things you disagree with, any things that you agree with, any suggestions for future videos. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.